Welcome to The Lounge, the Her Lounge that is, where we share laughter, life experiences, and heart-to-heart dialogue. I am Lynn.
I'm Jonah.
I'm Pauletta.
I'm Queasy.
And we are
your four best new girlfriends.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. If you are looking at us, you're not listening, but looking at us, it is a full house in here today, all right? Because we have some gentlemen who have joined us because we have such an amazing topic to talk about that I think this is going to be a very, very, very good discussion here. We have some special guests today. Of course, you know, you got your girls in the room. You got me, you got Pauletta, you got Queasy. Juna's not with us today, but she is traveling, so safe travels to our Junebug, wherever she is. And we have none other than my son right here who's joining us tonight. And we have my brother, the doctor, the gentleman, the scholar. He all of that wrapped up in one. I know he probably really nervous that I'm saying all that right now. But Dr. Saul is in the house tonight. And we are talking about D9, divine or demonic. Did y'all hear that? Okay, I'm going to just go on because I already know what this is about to be. But y'all know where we are. Welcome to the lounge where we share laughter, life experiences, and heart-to-heart dialogue. And so before we get into this D9 topic, Pauletta, you ready?
Yes, I've been waiting for this.
Pastor Saul, you ready?
I am ready.
Now, let me say this. We have tried to reach out and get people who have denounced because I really don't think it's a completely balanced conversation without having someone who's denounced. So if you're listening or looking tonight, we would love to do a part 2 to this and really have you in the conversation, not to fuss, not to argue, not to demean. Right. That's just not who we are. But I just think healthy conversation is conversation that has two opinions. I really do. And that we could sit and have a conversation. Because I would really love to hear your story. I really would. So if you are watching or listening and you would like to come and sit down with us, listen, this is a safe space. You can hit us in our DMs or you can email us at the Her Lounge at Gmail, I think it is. Yeah. The herlounge@gmail.com. All right, so let me give you some history about D9, Divine 9, which is called the National Pan-Hellenic Council, is a collaborative umbrella council composed historically African-American fraternities and sororities, commonly called D9, which most of us know it as. And they're also referred to by some people as Black Greek letter organizations. The NPHC was formed as a permanent organization on May 10, 1930 on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. You don't have an HU for us?
HU.
with Matthew Bullock as the active chairman and Beatrix Scott as the vice chairman. So the National Pan-Hellenic Council was incorporated under laws of the state of Illinois in 1937. Did you all know all this?
Yes.
I knew you did. The NPHC Council was established during the Jim Crow era, when Greek letter collegiate organizations founded by white Americans did not want to be affiliated with Greek letter collegiate organizations founded by African Americans. The founding members of the NPHC were Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Delta Sigma Theta, and Zeta Phi Beta. The councils, y'all hear them in the room.
Yeah.
The council's membership expanded as Alpha Phi Alpha 1931, Phi Beta Sigma 1931, Sigma Gamma Rho 1937, and Iota Phi Theta 1996. Later joined.
I'm joking.
It's their founders. They be nice.
Oh, it is?
It is, yes.
Yes. No one knew. They didn't either.
Wow.
But okay.
This is not what we're going to do. Okay. Collectively, these organizations comprise, listen to this, collectively, these organizations, how many members y'all think? Just off the top of your head, guess.
3 million.
4 million.
4, you hit it on the neck. 4 million members. These organizations are a source of family and community to Black students, with some first-generation members and others joining as a legacy. So we have seen here lately in the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years, a great surge in denouncing in the last couple of years. However, denouncing is not new. What makes denouncing new is the internet.
Yeah.
So people have denounced for years that's been
just
happening.
As quietly.
And, but now it's publicized, people doing YouTubes, people sending people to hell and everything over it now. So I think it's the internet piece that has added this new wave when it's really not a wave. Okay? So the top reason members have said they denounced was because of their religious beliefs and spiritual conviction. Those were the top reasons. So I pulled these two scriptures that I know are often used. Exodus 20 and 30. And this is not by far all of them. This is just two. Exodus 20 and 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Deuteronomy 6 and 14. Ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. Okay? So, Pauletta, we've talked about this in private, so now we're talking about this in public. And I'm asking everybody, I don't think I have to say this, but I'm just going to say it for GP. Let's be respectful. Okay? I feel like Pauletta is the person I need to say that to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your reputation.
You see that, right?
Be respectful.
That, right? I'm going to be as
Pauletta,
respectful as I can.
do you think this is a trend? Or do you think it's real denouncing? Do you think like some people, because they saw that, it's this wave and it's this thing. There's even a D9 denouncing conference now. Mm-hmm. Okay, like for people who have denounced, they have a spiritual conference. Did you know that?
I did.
Oh yeah, they have a conference. I think this year or last year may have been their first year, but they have a conference now. I believe it's in Georgia, but don't quote me on that. So do you think some people are denouncing just because other people are denouncing, or do you think people are really like coming to the realization of this is something I shouldn't have done, or people joined and they were like, I didn't know what I know now. When I joined, I wasn't as mature of a believer as I am now, and so I didn't see it as wrong. And now that I've grown in God and my spiritual walk, like this is conflicting with my faith. How do you feel? What do you think?
Oh God, like when I look at my own personal experience, because that's the only place that I can draw from. We don't worship other gods, and I think, and so when people, I'm a Delta, and so when people denounce Delta, I'm wondering what kind of experience they had, because even going through our rituals and our ceremonies.
Do you think because it's called rituals?
They're Christian based, but like we're quoting scripture. Like we are quoting scripture.
Okay, let me stop you right there, because you're getting hype already.
Already.
I know this but I know this is about to be that kind of show, especially when your nephew and your bestie down at the end of the table get in it. I know it's really gonna get rough. Y'all might hear Yekidobo Shanta quietly in the mic, praying for strength and peace in the room. But
so I think it is. I don't know. I'm going to have to assume it's something
Do you
personal.
think it's ritual? Because the word ritual, do you think it may be that word, Pastor Solomon?
I think it could be. I don't know. What do you think, Pastor Solomon?
So I think there's a duality to it, and the first piece of it could be the thing of ritual, and the consistency of that ritual throughout all of the D9 organizations, the way that we do things. That could be a problem. But I think the bigger issue is what you mentioned in the intro, and that is the introduction of the internet. I think much of the conversation we get around denouncing now is done for clickbait, and I hate to.
That's just how you feel.
I hate to be that person, but it becomes.
Explain what clickbait is for our listeners that may not know.
So it's as if you're doing things on the internet. To get likes. To get followers, and from some of the videos that I've seen of people denouncing, just the rationale and the reasoning based on what fraternities and sororities really stand for and what they do organizationally, they just don't line up. Mm-hmm. Now that's my personal opinion, and people are free to do what they want to do. But if you're denouncing, why tell the world? Just don't wear.
Why are you on this Christian mission?
Yeah,
don't.
if you're denouncing, don't go to meeting anymore. Don't pay your financial responsibilities. Don't wear paro. And
well,
and
I
run
guess
off
some
to the
people
sea.
feel like I was public with my joining.
Sure.
I'm going to be public with my disconnecting.
Okay, now let me say this. And as you were talking, I was thinking about this. Like I know, like I had a process, but my process didn't land any of my sands in the hospital or anything.
God bless.
Probably should have been, but we tended to our wounds at home.
Yes.
But
God is so good.
I can.
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
But I can understand because I've heard of horror stories.
Sure.
From different sororities and fraternities where they did not have that experience.
Right.
Where someone even unfortunately died or someone did wind up in a hospital. So I can understand being like, I don't even want to be a part of anything.
Sure.
So I get that. I totally get that. And I respect that. But it's when you try and say that this is demonic. When I look at some heavy hitters in the kingdom that are Greek, Martin Luther King, Vashti Turley Murphy, who was one of the first, I think, African American AME bishops, female bishops.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like she's like the granddaughter, I think, of a founder. Yeah. And there's so many. Jesse Jackson was a Q.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And so I struggle when people say that it's demonic, because how do you have all of these other people who are heavy hitters in the kingdom? Like, are you saying that they're demonic? And then then a lot of these people who are denouncing, you involved in the other kind of sin.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sex is covenant. You ain't stop having sex though?
No.
But I mean,
so here is the thing for me from my personal experience, and I've been I just celebrated 40 years as a Catholic.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I placed my freshman year.
In high school.
I wish. No, my freshman year in college on the campus of what was then Livingston University, now the University of West Alabama. So I actually heard the voice of God calling me to ministry while I was online for the first time.
Wow.
That's when I felt God while I was going through this process, bonding with my 8 other line brothers. That's when I first heard God calling me to ministry. And the crazy thing is, he was calling me in the ministry at that time, and he was calling my 7 Club at the same time. We were both going through this at the same time, trying to figure out what God was saying and so for me, I can never see being a part of a Greek letter organization as being demonic, because it's during that time when I really began to see who I was as a believer and know what my purpose in life would one day be, even though I was in no hurry to accept my call, because 1, I don't like talking in front of people, and 2, I still had a lot of sin in that I wanted to get out.
I get
things I was working on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah, thank God, salvation is a process.
Come on,
it is.
and I'm still being processed, but
daily. Yes,
daily.
Yes. So it's hard for me to see it as demonic, and people are want to have their own opinions, but it's when those who have denounced start to castigate other people and tell me that I'm hellbound, that it becomes problematic for me. Yeah, and I think that's the bigger issue that I have. You made a choice, and be free in your choice.
Right.
But I almost said leave me to hell. But leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Leave
me alone. I don't know, Lynn, how important do you think it is to respect each other's choices?
I wanted to ask Chris, because let me say that I'm gonna answer that about respecting, and that's kind of the piggyback right off what Dr. Saul just said. I don't get into conversations about this, because if I really told the story of why I even did it, I don't really think no one would believe me, because it's not something I probably have only said to probably you, Chris. I don't think I've said it to anybody else, and I won't say it to anybody else, because I don't think they'll believe me. All right. So it's not something that I even say, because everybody I know was totally shocked, because you got to know my personality. Mm-hmm. I am such a me person. Yeah. I'm such a dance to the beat of my own drum person. I'm such a I don't even study nobody person. Like, not in a mean way. I'm just very to myself. I people because I got to. Mm-hmm. I people because that's what God has called me to do. Now, do I love people? Yes, I love people. I'm approachable. I know all of that. I'm friendly. I know all of that. But when I'm done with that, I'm a recluse. That's just my personality. Mm-hmm. And I'm really to myself. I'm not a networker. That's just not who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not. And so I'm telling you, people were blown away. And the most part they were blown away was because of my personality. Like, if you know me, you was like, Lynn? Mm-hmm. That's what everybody was. But that's why I don't share my reason. And because I really do have a reason. Like, it wasn't something that I was just running around and said, let me find something to do. You know, it wasn't like that. But I believe whether you denounce or you don't, that I think we need to respect each other's decisions.
Right. Sure.
You can't condemn me to hell.
Right.
For sin when a whole lot of you all are wearing, you may not be wearing apparel, but you're wearing designers who live alternate lifestyles that you get up and preach about. So some of you all, I don't never see you with nothing that ain't got a name on it. Mm. And the stuff you're wearing, the person who designed it and who is the designer lives a lifestyle that you preach
which
against.
Is contradictory.
Which means every time you buy that, you're sowing into that.
And you're supporting it.
But see, we don't want to have that conversation. Yeah. You know, like a person I know, you know, I call her names, in the store talking about children pride stuff, but you got on designer from head to toe. And the designer stuff that you got on is in that community.
That's their community. Yeah.
Complete conflict. Yeah. And you telling people don't buy these clothes. They say pride, but you got on a designer that's openly gay.
Right.
So if you against pride, then why are you buying clothes from somebody that's in that community? Exactly. Because every time you buy that, you're sowing into that.
Right.
Whether you want to look at it like that. And I'm not condemning you for doing it. You can buy whatever you want. Because I'm going to buy whatever I want to buy. Yeah. You know, I'm just saying how we select and how we pick certain things. Yeah. You know, and then as a culture, I think a dangerous thing we do is to me, we're too demonically sensitive and not enough kingdom sensitive. Right. Yeah. Like, I just don't believe as a man and woman of God that God speaks to you about demons more than he speaks to you about kingdom when I got a blood redemption over my life. Right. That's another problem I got. Like, some people, all y'all do is demon. Everything is a demon. Everything's a witch. Everything's a warlock. Everything is a spirit. Everything is a covenant. Everything is I'm letting this in my life. Hey, the blood is on my life. So nothing has just free access to me like that. And I think that we forget what the new covenant has afforded us. Right. That we're not just demons can just jump on us like that. It don't work like that.
And I'm gonna say that.
Can you open portals? Yes, you can. Yes, but do I believe every little thing? I really think, and I say it again, we major in the minor and minor in the major. I really believe that.
I think, and before Chris goes, you know, because now the new surge are these Christian sororities and fraternities, which I'm just like, you know what? Like,
and y'all having a process.
Y'all up there stepping, y'all up there slapping yes. I'm like, what? If oh God, I'm so sorry, but it angers me. I'm not sorry. You're not. Because it angers me because you on one hand,
but I don't see no Christian sororities or fraternities speaking out against.
No, but what I'm saying is,
I don't. I haven't seen that.
They're not. But what I'm saying is, what's the difference? They're doing the same thing that we are. You're still pledging. You're still, as a matter of fact, I mean, typically D9's organizations aren't supposed to be hazing. That's supposed to be, over with. But you can clearly tell by these Christian sororities and fraternities that they're being hazed. You can clearly. I'm looking at videos. It's all on TikTok, and then they're doing like the founders step. Their calls are similar to the D9 calls. I'm like, well, then why are you just in pledge? I mean, it makes it. Oh God, it makes no sense to me. And then another thing, a lot of the people who are causing all of this.
Feel.
Okay,
exactly. I mean, tell us
a
how
lot
you
of
really
the
feel.
people who are causing all this ruckus ain't even Greek.
That's why I ain't got much to say. There you go.
But I'm just saying, like, and I want to drop some names, but I'm not because I don't want us to be censored by the FCC. Yeah. But you know, you got all of these big time people, and you ain't even Greek. You ain't even been to college. But you talking about something is demonic. How do you not even a part of it?
They're going by what they've been told. And then, you know, it's so much stuff on YouTube now. Like, all the stuff that should be personal is not anymore. Right. That should be private is not anymore.
Right. Esoteric information has slipped out over time, and that causes more issues than we need.
And then, you know, a lot of people, when they denounce now, they're telling everything.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. It's to bring shame, and, you know, that's what it has become about. So is it about you separating yourself from to separate yourself to?
Right.
Or is it to demean and, you know, demonize? So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody got their own journey. But Chris, I wanted you as how many years are you in? This will be 2 years for you in December, right? One?
Yeah, he pledged in 24.
He did? Oh, it seemed like 2 years. I was gonna give you my mic. You didn't have to grab a mic. No, I was gonna slide it to you. Well, I'm leaning to my mic because that's what I've been told to do. All right, and I am the one who leads the flow. All right, so you go on.
Lead, Pastor. Lead.
No, just saying. Go ahead. You got to speak in the mic. Like, what do you have to say about what's been said? Like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you feel like it's demonic, or talk to us?
So I think that many of the people who are talking from their own personal experience of what they may have done to get online, what they've done online. And I think that we always have to go back to the foundation of the organization and why it was founded, that these are service-based organizations, community, service-based organizations. And I think the biggest example to look at is the church. The church is also an organization. Hazing also goes on in the church.
Speaking your mic, son.
People have been molested in the church. People have been raped in the church, been sexually abused by leaders in the church. And I'm not correlating that to D9 in the sense of saying that that's happening to people in D9, but I'm saying, do we then throw away the organization of the church? Do we throw it away and denounce it? Or do we try to ensure that we are living up to the foundation of what Jesus wanted it to be? I think that the same thing has to be applied for D9. Yes, there are things within the organization that are not necessarily favorable, but just like we are committed to making the church better because we understand the foundation of it, I think if we look towards the foundation of what these organizations were founded for, it gives us a better understanding of what we should be doing. I do not think that they're demonic. I think they're service organizations, and just like things in the church can be twisted and people can use and abuse scripture, I think that people have abused process in the organization, have abused methodology, and have gone too far. But I think we always need to make sure that we're looking towards the foundation of the organization, and that is the biggest thing. But I always like to point the finger because people are leaving the church just as more than they're leaving D9 organizations to me. It's people walking away from the church because of things that have happened in the church, but that issue is not at the forefront to me as much as the D9 conversation. And both, I feel that people are leaving both organizations for similar reasons. It's experience-based. Some people are leaving because of trends. I think social media gives people the chance to be famous and be the person that they've always wanted to be. And so because of social media, it highlights things in a way that it really shouldn't. But my issue is always going back to the foundation. And so when people always like, oh, it's demonic, I always, well, the things that what is demonic about it? Well, this happens, that happens. And I was like, this happens in the church. That happens in the church. What do you have to say about that? Do we denounce the church? Do we leave the church? You're still going to church on Sunday. And we could sit at a table with my aunts, great aunts, and they can all tell stories of when they've been sexually assaulted in church. And yet they're still going to church because there is a commitment there because they understand the foundation of it. You know what I'm saying? And I use sexual assault because, that's just a big thing that's going on, especially connected to the Catholic Church or whatever. And I am in no way saying that, a bunch of sexual assault is going on in D9 organizations. But what I'm saying is the same manipulation that people feel like I was manipulated. People get on there and say I was manipulated, all of these different things. People make pastors their gods. People make spiritual leaders their gods.
True. People make themselves their gods.
That's true.
Themselves gods. Their children's gods.
Clothes, like I was just talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's how you placed it. Like, I don't have to place Alpha Phi Alpha to be my God.
Right.
I love the organization.
Right. Like, I'm not like,
I love the organization, but it is not my God. Now, if you've placed it there, that is on you. Right. Just like if you've placed your pastor as your God, that's on you. If you've placed any kind of leader as your God, your children, that's on you. Right. So you need to be looking within self.
Right. Instead of outwardly at the organization, what they made you do.
Right. It's you. Yeah. How have you placed this in your life? Because anything can become a God based on how you place it. And she's itching. But anything can become a God based on how you place it. But I had to choose God.
Why are you talking to her instead of the mic?
Sorry, because I feel like just podcast. But I had to. I felt that I had to make a choice for salvation. Right.
Ha!
I had to. The song I made Jesus my choice.
I'm sorry, y'all.
But I decided, right?
Look at Queesta woke up. She woke now.
Come on, Queesta, come on. But I had to make Jesus my Lord and Savior, right?
Yes, Lord.
And so that lets me know that it is in my decision making where I make something my Lord.
Where I place it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so good. If you have placed the organization to be a Lord, a God, or anything, it is on you. It is not the organization. It is you, how you have placed the organization. There are many people. You've named a few of them. Leaders, Raphael Warnock, Martin Luther King, Darius Daniels, R.A. Vernon.
Andrea Gates.
Andrea Gates.
Why you just naming albums?
Walter Solomon. Dr. Henry Dunn, Wesley, Otis Moss III. I mean, just
you could go on and on. Pastor Jamal Bryant.
Yeah. Pastor Jamal Bryant, Dr. Carrie Bryant. We can just go on and on.
Dr. Gina Stewart.
Dr. Gina Stewart.
She's another trailblazer.
It goes on and on and on and on. And so you're telling me all of these people, these
on
leaders,
their way to hell.
Yeah.
In the
hell
church. On a train.
Yes.
A bullet train.
Right.
To hell. I don't think that. Right. I think that it is how people have internalized and placed organizations and their experiences.
To piggyback off that, I know Pauletta hot, baby. But to piggyback off that, Dr. Saul, can you be Greek affiliated and saved? And being Greek affiliated and saved, is that serving two gods as God was talking about here in Exodus?
Right. So the short answer is yes, you can be a member of a D9 organization and be saved. That's the short answer. I believe that we were all created for community. It's important that we have our vertical relationship intact, but you also need horizontal relationships. You need people.
That's good.
My greatest accountability partners are my fraternity brothers. They hold me to a certain standard. They won't allow me to live beneath my calling. There's certain things that they may be involved in that if I'm even looking like I'm heading that way, they're like, where
What you doing, man?
where
Go
you
back to the
going?
room, man.
Go. Yeah, we'll call you when it's time for us to need a driver. That's
Right.
pretty much what. But I think we do need. Let me say it. I need somewhere where I can be myself.
Walter.
I can be Saul. I can
Yeah.
I don't have to be Dr. Saul. I don't have to be Pastor Saul. I can just be me, and I don't have to worry about, what I don't have to be cautious about who's watching me, what's going. I can just relax. I need a place where I can say what I want to say without being judged for what I'm saying. And the fraternity has given me that free space to be myself.
Wow.
And to build relationships. I was just in revival in Panama City, and one of my line brothers that I had not seen in 40 years. We pledged in the spring. He went home for the summer, didn't come back, and while we've been in touch, through the years, we had not seen each other physically in 40 years.
Wow. So he never came back for homecoming.
He never
or
came
anything.
back. He just not seen him in 40 years.
Wow.
And I saw him for the first time yesterday, and it was like we had been seeing each other every day because during our time together, we built such a bond.
Right.
And those kinds of relationships last forever. I mean, I have friends that I've met, fraternity brothers who have impacted my life, pulled me out of situations at moments when I was at my lowest, just kind of been there. And all of my help has not come from within the church. A lot of my hurt has come from within the church that fraternity brothers have had to heal me from. Told me that, it's not as bad as it looks.
Right.
You're not the derelict that they're saying you are right now.
Right.
And so it's important for us to build, sustainable relationships with people who have your best interest at heart. And that's what the bond has done for me, and my fraternal bond has done for me. It's allowed me to have those kinds of relationships where I can be free, and where I can be in a safe space and know that it's going to be all right. So yeah, so it's not as bad as people say it is. And I would just say this in addition, that many times when people are saying negative things about D9 organizations, it really comes from a place of ignorance. And when I use the word ignorance, it's not knowing.
Right.
Ignorance is defined as not knowing. And so when people don't know something, they make assumptions, and they make decisions about how they feel about something based on a lack of information. And so, I take that with a grain of salt. Now, it does frustrate me sometimes when named figures, and I got in my feelings recently because of this, when named figures would just go out with no information, no context, no real knowledge of what it's all about, and then just say, we're all going to hell. I spent 30 years of my life pouring into God's people, being the man of God that God has called me to be. And so, yeah,
Surely.
I can do both. I can shimmy as I used to be able to do when my shoulders were not as arthritic as they are now.
Got that bursitis in there now.
Yeah.
Got that Berber.
Yeah. And I can stand behind the sacred desk and say what God has given me.
And call down
well.
heaven.
Yeah.
You do it well.
And I can do both of them well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can be a very smooth Kappa. I am. Yes. To the day I die.
I love
The day
it.
I desire.
Yes. So,
Paulette is so hype. Quincy, you're the only person in the room
We ain't gonna say what we call
The
Desi.
whole room.
In the
Yeah,
whole,
the
We ain't
whole
gonna say
that's
what we
not
call
Greek
non-Greek
affiliated.
people.
Yes.
So I want to know, on the outside looking in, what have you ever thought or felt, or have you ever thought or felt anything, or have you ever even said, "Oh, I might want to join that"? Please don't say no names, or
won't.
just
Yeah,
or
don't do that.
something
say
like
the
that.
color.
But just don't say colors, don't say nothing like that. Pauletta trying to snare you. Just
I
have
see
you
you trying
have
to-
you ever what has been your thoughts? From the outside looking at it. If you don't have any thoughts, you don't have to make up any.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hear your thoughts, especially from the out, looking in.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in the fight. I will say that I know y'all step in the name of love. I mean, that's about the only thing. I'm just playing. Y'all do community too, but I think
She said, "In the name of
In the
love."
name of
in the name of love.
Okay,
But
R. Kelly.
I will say this. I think what's heartbreaking from the outside looking in is anytime our people
Yeah.
build something.
Ooh, I got that on here. I got that
Anytime
on
our
here. Does it
people-
seem like everything black is being demonized?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what's painful, is that even if there are disagreements, can we kind of have these conversations among each other? Because there is so much. We're already
Fighting.
demonized
Yeah.
so much. And it would just be great if we can have these conversations. Now, there was only one thing that I remember that was kind of taboo as a young person. That was like, I think more so masonry or whatever. But I didn't know nothing about a child. All I knew is Jesus is my help. So
Say. Yeah.
What?
She
I'm
said.
talking about in the sinews.
but I will say it's a beautiful thing to see you all unified. And I definitely thought about pledging. I definitely
When you
did.
at Miles, really?
Not while I was at Miles.
Oh, after you graduated?
but I always had the desire.
Really?
Don't
then.
make her say,
I'm not gonna say
Watch
what,
her.
because she really is trying
watch
to pull.
her. Watch her.
But I will say it's a beautiful thing seeing our people take pride, like he said, building each other up. So it's just heartbreaking to see. But I feel like it's a trend, and we talk about intent of heart. You got to know what your intent is. And as long as your intent is good, I think we just spend a lot of time on public opinion, and that's the culture that we live in with social media, and it's just magnified when it really does not matter. Like I mean, whether you pledge or not, that don't make my meal taste better. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's important to me is I get to eat, and those things like that. So, yeah, I definitely thought about pledging, but again, I say I'm enjoying y'all because the passion in the room is amazing. Keep going, people.
Well, can I say this about the whole building piece? Could you imagine in 1906, 1908, 1911, 1913, when our founders were getting all of this together and establishing our fraternities and sororities, and the sustaining power that has been with them for all of these 100 years or whatever. And then, particularly for those that were founded on the campuses of PWIs, they needed that bond. They needed those relationships to get them through. Nobody wanted anybody our color to be on the campus of Indiana University in the heart of where the Klan is founded.
Right.
And all. In 1911, and
How powerful that is.
Wow.
and to have the foresight and the vision to get together, to build this bond, and to do it in such a way that it would be sustained for over 100 years is amazing. It's amazing, and it is disappointing sometimes to see our own people being the main ones trying to tear it down.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were all built to last, and I'm proud to have a legacy. I was a rebel. My father was an Omega, and my uncles are Omegas. Yeah, my cousins are Omegas. And so I have one cousin that was a Kappa, and when he came home with that cane, I was done.
Really?
I
Did
was
you have
done.
any desire to be an Omega?
Listen,
It was just like, y'all
I was raised in an Omega household.
Right, so it was-
I saw purple and gold all my life.
Right.
And but when I saw my cousin with that cane,
That was it.
That's me.
it was it was over.
Really?
It was over. It was over. I will never forget it. He crossed in the fall of 1980. He came home for Christmas, and he had that cane. It was striped in red and white. I was like, yep.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
As soon as I get to college.
What?
In my freshman year.
Really? So was he the reason why you pledged Kappa?
He was.
Really?
Yeah, he
My
was.
aunt was the reason why I pledged Delta. When I back home, like in New York, I didn't know anything about sororities and fraternities, and it wasn't until I got down here to Miles, I knew she was a Delta, and she pledged to Miles actually,
Yeah.
and I would just ask her questions about it, and then the RA, which is crazy, Wandolin was our RA at the time when we were at Miles, so. Who and right, and then Lainey, was like my big sister, and so she was a Delta, and then all her other sister was a Delta. So there was a heavy influence of Deltas, and I just wound up. That's where my heart went, and that's how I wound up, pledging Delta.
But something that he said was going back to the founders and that horizontal relationship needed, because I just think about. During my process, I was thinking about people who had done and pledged the organization. Like, I thought heavily about, like, Dr. R.A. Vernon and, like, the things that was going on. I'm like, you mean to tell me R.A. Vernon was doing
at this point in his life?
Yeah, at this point in his life. I thought about that, but I thought about the founders, because you're talking about 7 Black men at Cornell University in 1906.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But 7 black men at Cornell University
Right.
in 1906.
Yeah.
Before the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Do you know how smart you had to be? This is before Ruby Bridges.
Yeah.
Right.
To be at Cornell University as a black person in 1906.
Yeah.
I think heavily about that. And something that you said, there is scripture all throughout.
All throughout.
All of them. All 9 of them.
All 9 of them.
All 9 of them.
And people don't know that because
you're not in it.
That's that ignorance part of it.
That's not spoken about either.
Right.
That's not spoken about, but that's because it's our process.
Right.
And what you don't, and this is I have a big problem with people pastors, leaders who are not D9 speaking about D9 issues. And the reason why is because it takes you having to be D9 and going through a process to understand fully. You know what I'm saying? But another thing that Kwesi said and I wanted to hit on is she was just talking about the social media aspect of it and tearing down. I think the biggest problem, I say this to Mom all the time, is that everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
I have realized that everybody, I don't care who they are, wants to be. And when people get their chance to be, or feel that it is their chance to be, they run after it.
Yeah.
And so social media has provided a channel for people who want to be.
Yeah.
And you can create yourself to be anything on social media. And like there are people on social media that portray themselves as being super wealthy. And then like the people who know them be like, you just asked me for $50.
That was you, right?
On Cash App. You know what I'm saying? And
don't you have a bus pass?
So I think that the social media aspect is because everybody wants their moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when people feel that, you know, they have their moment, they go after it. That's why I can't be silent, because now I know that I'll get attraction. It's a big issue. And so if I put on there, I denounce, everybody was like, you denounce, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it builds this moment for yourself. And now you preaching at conferences, and now you're super spiritual, but didn't say your bedtime prayers or morning prayers. And like,
or you drink. You're a heavy drinker.
You're a heavy drinker and all of this stuff. But
just
you're
to take
super
the edge off.
spiritual.
Man, get out of it.
but you're super spiritual. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think what irks me the most is people who denounce saying that I'm spiritual and da 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 da.
The Lord spoke to me.
And it's usually people who could not quote 10 scriptures, could not tell you the books of the Bible, could not tell you the history of the Bible, could not talk about developing relationship with God, the steps to salvation.
They don't even tithe.
No, non-tithers.
No offering either.
No offering givers. But you're super spiritual. I think that
so
irks
deep.
me the most. And it's the people and you have information about them. Like, you're the person that used to be, you're the person that's still, and you all of a sudden are so spiritually deep. But that's my irks. But I definitely wanted to talk about what Dr. Solomon talked about with the founders, because that was the thing that was the driving force for me, thinking about 7 black men at Cornell University at that time and what they were intending for black people out of the organization. Today.
Yeah, today.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Today.
Were they foreseeing now?
Yeah.
That's the part that I think about a lot is I could only imagine what they went through. I could only imagine what they know. Y'all just don't know. I get you. No. It's not. That's not even talking about Alpha. I'm talking about all of them.
Right.
Alpha, Kappa, Omega, Delta, all of them. Everybody, Zeta. You know what I'm saying? All of them, Sigma, Gamma, Rho, Iota, all of them. Could you imagine what they went through? Could you imagine that? And think about the climate we're in right now.
Yeah.
And what it looks like we as people of color are facing and about to face. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to take some of that kind of resilience.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think
that's going to get us through.
I think
we're that kind of resilience.
That kind of resilience and that kind of brilliance.
Yeah. Dang, you took that word out of my mouth.
That's
resilience and brilliance.
That's the thing that really grabs me is how brilliant these men and women had to be to create something that sustained itself for over 100 years. I mean, there are a lot of institutions that crumbled, just out of nowhere, fell in on themselves because they were not built on solid foundations. And here you have these 9 organizations that were built so solidly and that they sustained themselves for all of this time. And continue to.
Continue to. Do I think everything is perfect? No. Do I think some things could use an adjustment of how we do things? Absolutely. The hazing part, the young man that I think was it this year or last year, broke my heart. Yeah. Louisiana, it broke my heart. That kind of stuff shouldn't happen at all.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't condone that. Right. Even Ricky Smiley came out so hard against that. Yes. And I think that was his fraternity, not his, chapter, of course, but that was his fraternity. Yeah, right. But he was very open about how he felt about that and stood on that. Not only him, but a lot of Omegas, and just D9 together was like, that's not who we are. Right. And do I think we, in some of this present generation, need to be very careful to maintain the reason why these organizations were even started. Right. For brotherhood, for sisterhood, for community, for service, unto God, unto man. I think that if there's a big issue, that's it. Mm-hmm. Is making sure we maintain the reason why it was ever started. And I think that's important. Now, I kind of want to piggyback off Queasy, and you all jump in this, and this is where we will culminate for our conversation. I think my biggest issue is people of color did not start Greek organizations, but you never hear the other side talking about their Greek organizations. You never see them dogging them out. You never see them doing that. And so my question I have is, do you think everything black is being demonized. That's what I want y'all to speak to. Whoever want to go, everybody can get a piece of it. But that's I think has been the most hurtful thing for me. Is kind of what Kwesi said. Is we to me demonize everything black. Mm-hmm. We do, and that's what we have become. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna talk about it, talk about it all the way across.
Yeah,
because they all got the same context.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. But it's to me, I think everything black, I really do, is demonized.
So I'll start this conversation. You know, there's an axiom in our community that says that other people's water is colder than ours, and sometimes we look to majority culture, and we put them in a place or on a pedestal that lessens our shine, and I don't think we should ever subjugate ourselves at any point. It's Cat Williams who says it's esteem of self, and so we ought think of ourselves as the people that God made us, and He made us special and unique in every way. And so it hurts when you see us tearing down our own institutions. It hurts me when I hear other people who look like me tell me that the HBCU that I graduated from is inferior to other places, when I know that, having experienced both worlds, that the education I got from my HBCU was miles ahead of anything.
That was cute. I like how you did that. I like how you did that.
Better than anything that I could have ever experienced. Yeah. And the reason that I was successful in other educational endeavors was because of the foundation and the love that I got being around people who look like me.
Yeah, and it's a sense of self.
Right. Yes. And so when people who look like me start tearing down institutions that we have built, it's heartbreaking. And sometimes it comes out of hate, self-hate, and then other times it just comes out of a lack of understanding of who we are.
Right.
It's at some point, it's as if at some point, you know, I had people in my life who sat me down and told me who I was, explained to me why I have to be better, why excellence is got to be the mark I shoot for, that it can't be, that I can't be subpar in any way, that I have to be the standard at all times in everything I do. I had people tell me that, and I don't think that my generation has done a good job of doing that for the generations that came behind us.
They're not, and I can tell as a teacher, I can tell that they're not having these conversations,
right.
Because I think back then it was an honor, it was a privilege to be educated.
Right. Yes,
you know, and it meant something. It carried some weight, but that's not the case now. You know, like some of my parents are just as young as their kids.
Right.
You know, and they're living check to check, so all they know is the ability to live check to check. Like right now, like my kids have the potential to compete on a national level in Utah if we make it through all of these rounds. You know, and a lot of them are excited because they've never been on a plane before.
Right. Yeah.
I was on a plane at the age of 8,
right,
coming down here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but we're talking about 18-year-olds that really ain't even been outside of Fairfield.
Right.
But that's a part of that sense of self, you know, and I think because their parents haven't been exposed, then they're not exposed. Right. Then they don't expose their children. Right. You know, so it's up to us, those of us who can, to, you know, that can have a hand in and be like, hey, like there's a whole other world outside of your little microcosm right here.
Which is why D9 organizations are
so critical.
Important.
Exactly.
They're critical
exactly.
to success for generations that are coming up, because we get a chance to share our life experience with people who are coming along, who need to hear about people of color being successful, who need to hear about the value of education, who really need to hear that it's okay to be intelligent, that it's not a bad thing if you know how to articulate.
And code switch.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think
Yes.
I think the biggest problem is that intellect is gone from the community in a sense of what we were just talking about, the appreciation of education. Like, you know, I was just talking to a colleague earlier, and we were just talking about how most of our kids, their education starts at 8 o'clock and ends at 3:15. It doesn't go beyond that.
Right.
And we're supposed to do a miracle within those hours of the day.
Reminder of the day is this.
I think I think intellect is missing from the church as well, which is why so many people. No, I do.
Shots fired.
I do think intellect is missing from the church, and I think about people like Dr. Martin Luther King. Those people were brilliant, and we're talking about that resilience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to take people in the church to have that resilience. You know, I remember as a child when, you know, my parents and them and all of, you know, these people around us, when it was a thing to be licensed as a minister. You remember when it was a thing to have a license? Like people
No,
used
it was, I'm sorry.
yeah.
It wasn't just a thing to have a license. It was a thing because of the process we went through to get the license.
Come on.
But yeah, it was a thing. Now you can get a license
Online.
All these Jack Lake preachers.
I think the overarching conversation is that over access to anything
That's the
creates
thing.
underappreciation for it. Right. So because education is so accessible now, and we are not having to fight
That's
for
so
it.
Right,
good.
all these
You know what I'm
fake
saying?
degrees. Okay, I'm sorry.
She's talking about fake degrees, but we're not having to fight for it. There's a depreciation and an underappreciation. Well, not depreciation, because depreciation is talking about the value of something, but an underappreciation of education. I think when we bring, and I just had this conversation with my dad, because I've been listening to people, ministers and pastors, who are very much so intellectual as much as they are spiritual. I find myself listening to Dr. Howard John Wesley and Dr. Aldous Moss III so much now. Gina Stewart, people who have that intellect.
Attracted to the intellect and the
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
the
that's that
intellect
black
and the
liberation
spiritual.
theology
Yeah,
also.
that black liberation theology. And I think that there's a surge of that's about to come up. And I think
it's going to be needed.
it's going to be needed. And I think all of these social media preachers and social media
one member.
ministers, pastors, where your only validation for what you do is your following of social media. I think there's an exit for that, because people are going to be looking for something that is real and
Of substance.
substance that speaks to the time. I think you have to be spiritually in tune as much as you are culturally in tune. I think that there are so many people in the church now who are spiritually in tune, but you're not in tune with the culture. You know, there's
Well, they're being told, let me say this, they're being told that you're putting your culture above God, or that you've made your skin color a God because you have black pride. You know what I'm saying? Now black pride is now an idol. You know what I'm saying? Because you have black pride. But no other race is told that.
Right.
But black people. Everybody else can be proud of who they are.
Yep.
But when black people rise to a level of pride,
Then
now
it's
it's
a problem.
idolatry.
All the time.
You understand what I'm saying? When I knew God before I even knew the difference in what color I was to somebody else. Because when I was going to school, Bonfield Minor, it was predominantly Caucasian.
Right.
And all of my friends were Caucasian. So, you know, I wasn't even caught up in the color of my skin. And I was saved for real. You know, then now I'm just playing. I was saved
like
for
cool.
real. So I'm just saying, like, I wasn't even caring about this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I had already had knowledge of God.
Yeah.
So don't tell me because now I have pride. You could tell me race don't matter. Okay. Well, race was a construct made by man. But let's be honest, we're different.
Yeah.
And God made us that way. And there's nothing wrong with being proud about the way that God made me. And because I'm proud about the way that God made me doesn't mean that I idolize it.
Right.
But am I proud of it? Yes. The only people that are told you too proud of your color is black folks.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
And
I think that goes all the way back to slavery. I just rewatched Birth of a Nation, and I remember how they were trying to censor what he was saying as a preacher in the movie. And I think, I've been having this conversation with someone in our church that's like used to be into the spirituality and that kind of thing. I think that there are some things that we lost because they didn't allow us to bring them over culturally from our continent to here. I think that there are some things that we lost and we've adopted their way. And in adopting their way, we've adopted their perspective, and we've tried to live up to them and have made them the standard. And we already know what I'm talking about when I say them. We've made them the standard. I think that we have to go back and unlearn some things and learn some things in regards to who we are culturally. I think every black person needs to take the DNA test and find out where they come from, to me. And because I think that it tells a story and there's a confidence with it. I think the most interesting thing, and I'll end here. I'm a talker, but the most
Don't do him like that. Don't do him.
The most interesting thing, when I went to Howard, when I grew up as a child, everyone here always just says that, I'm black, or if somebody asks you, what are you? I'm black, whatever. Oh, you black, whatever. But it wasn't until I got to Howard where, what are you? I'm Nigerian. I'm Ghanaian. I'm Jamaican. I'm Trinidadian.
I'm Haitian.
I'm Haitian. I'm from Guyana. You know what I'm saying? And they started naming roots. And I realized that I couldn't name one because I didn't know.
Right.
And it was
That's so good.
mind-boggling for me.
Like, who am I?
Who am I?
Right.
We don't know. And I think knowing brings, and just being at Howard, seeing educated black people. Like
Which is an HBCU.
It's an HBCU, seeing wealthy black people, seeing like just medical students just coming out of buildings. I mean, you're walking on campus, there's Felicia Rashad. You're walking on campus, there's Oprah Winfrey, there's
met so many people.
Kevin Hart. I've met all kinds of people, Steph Curry. I took class with Nick Cannon. He was my classmate. We sat by him every single Tuesday and Thursday for an entire semester. So, I mean, if you're speaking in a digital media literacy class and someone who is big in the media is there every Tuesday and Thursday, I mean, it just blows your mind. And it gave me a greater appreciation to be black.
Yes.
And I think that's where we're missing because we do not know who we are, we're allowing them to tell us who we should and should not be.
Exactly.
That's good.
That's so
I
good.
think we need to-
so
go ahead.
good.
So our conversation has taken a turn from just the whole dynamic of D9 and what it means to the community. It's taken a turn to theology and the impact of majority culture on who we are as individuals. It's Theron Williams who writes a book entitled Black Church, White Theology, and it juxtaposes white theology against the lived experience of the black church and why it's so important for us to have our own theology. And I think that many of our problems related to our culture and identifying and understanding ourselves as culture, particularly in the church, comes from our over-embracing white theology
And this Western Christianity culture.
and our lived experience when compared to majority culture is totally different. And so it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. We don't fit, and we don't fit for a reason, and it's okay. And it's when we start to get that understanding of why we don't fit, and how God uniquely created us, and why we don't have to subscribe to something that doesn't really value us for who we really are. That's when we begin to start as Black Christians to stand and be the people that God really created us to be. And
That's so good.
When you talk about James Cone and liberation theology and why we believe in the God who makes a way, it's because of our lived experience. We needed the God who made the way. We needed
we need him right now.
That he was going to open up a door that no man could shut and shut a door.
Jeez.
Yeah, because we were going to walk in spaces where doors were literally shut in our face, but we walked through them as if the door wasn't even there. You need to hear it. I know the rudiments of, I know hermeneutics and homiletics. Listen, I've been in school all my life, but I also know that Mima on Sunday morning, because she got to go back to wherever she need to know that the Lord is going to make a way, and she needs to know how he's going to make, and why he's going to make a way.
Good.
And so when we wrap ourselves culturally in systems that were not designed for us, it turns us on us. Mm-hmm. And that's what you see. That's what you see a lot in
that is so
in
good.
churches. And sometimes it happens in the struggle between smaller congregations and mega churches. Mm-hmm. You see it coming across in that struggle where there's almost a tension, when the reality is we're not a monolith. We're not
right.
You need everything in the kingdom. And everything's not a mega church, and everything's not as charismatic as the Purpose Church, and everything is not as traditional as the Bethel Church,
right.
Because we are a very dynamic people. Mm-hmm. And there's space for everybody.
That's okay.
That's
okay. It's okay. Pauletta, can we see anything else?
I'm good. Like, I think you...
He just summed it up right then. That was it.
That was so brilliantly woven together. Yeah. But I want to say this as we end, because I want to be very clear that, people are going to listen to us who have denounced. People are going to listen to us who's thinking about denouncing. People are going to listen to us who are thinking about pledging. People are going to listen to us and think about all of those things. I want y'all to understand that if you have been led to denounce, then that's what you've been led to do. Right. I don't have a fight in that. Yeah. I don't have an insult for that. I'm telling you, I don't have anything to say. That's your journey. Yeah. It's just like what Dr. Saul said right now. The way I need God to manifest for me right now may not be the way that you need God to manifest for you. But this is how great God is. What I need from him takes nothing away from him delivering what you need from him. He's able to give every last one of us the manifestation we need in the way that we need it and still not be deficient. Yeah. So that's the powerful thing about God. So I really want to make that clear. As much as the respect for those who feel like, this is God has led me, I don't feel good about this, as much as those who feel like God hasn't led me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, God, let me tell you something. I love you with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my soul. If you want me to do something, you tell me and I'm going to do it. Because one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to obey you. Yeah. Now, will I be slow sometime in obeying you? Absolutely. I'm gonna be slow. When it's something I don't want to do. But one thing is for sure. Two things are for certain. I'm going to do what you said and told me to do. That's one thing about me. I'm going to do it. Even if I'm late to finish it, I'm going to do it. So that's been my thing with God, with this, with D9, with all of it. If you desire for me to do a certain thing, then you tell me this. I said, well, he didn't told you. He said, no. Let every man work out his own salvation. You know, and you walk through your own thing. I'm not damning anybody else, and I don't think anybody need to be damning somebody else who hasn't decided, you know, whatsoever. I think we need to be respectful across the board. So we don't have a question of the week. You know, let us know your thoughts up under our post on our Instagram, on Facebook, you know, on YouTube. Let us know your thoughts about what we've talked about today. I think this was an amazing conversation. I was so enlightened. I love conversations that make me think differently and make me look at things from a different perspective. Dr. Saul, thank you for being who you are. Chris, thank you for adding so much value to the conversation. Pauletta, thank you for not fighting. I was afraid at some points. I didn't know.
I tried.
Didn't know, friend. I didn't know.
Takes a lot of prayer.
Much prayer.
Hey, this is my first podcast.
Really? You've never been on a podcast
before?
before?
On a podcast before, so
Get out of here.
I'm thankful.
What? I don't want to say how I want to say it. I ain't going to say what I was
Don't say it. Don't say it.
No.
We're going to have to have you back for a different
Yeah,
time.
we'll have to have you back. But
Definitely.
if you're out there and you want to tell your story about denouncing, we would love to have you on. Not to criticize you.
Yeah.
Not to fuss. No.
But to criticize. But not to criticize.
No. Don't listen to them. Not to criticize you, but seriously, honestly, I love to have conversations.
It would be a good discourse.
Viewpoint. I think so, and I think it's fair. It's only fair.
Yeah, it is.
It's only fair to hear. So, yes, we love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a great weekend.
Gang. See ya.